Hi, this is Campeau with Performance Metal Shaping. We're here down in Orlando at the Performance Racing Industry Show with Mittler Brothers. I'm going to show you a few things about what makes a good English wheel and what doesn't make a good English wheel. This is basically a carry off our first newsletter that we did to you. Now we can actually show you what to look for. This wheel here has a few advantages of it that I like. One of the first advantages is that I can loosen this wheel up and I can have a quick release on this wheel, which means I can take this wheel, add another wheel, bring it back down, give it half a kick, and I'm ready to go. Next thing that Mittler Brothers has, it's a real good feature, is that they have an adjuster to make sure the wheel is parallel to the top wheel, and that is very important to make sure that you get a quality job. What we're going to do is we're going to kick this wheel down just a hair, and what we're going to do, we're going to bring this wheel down, and there's an adjustment right here with a little thumb screw. Right now this wheel hits a little bit to the right, not to the left. Basically what we're going to do, we're going to pick up on the wheel, and we're going to make the adjustment on this thumb screw to get this thing dead parallel. Once it's dead parallel, you're going to have a real nice finished product. Okay? Next thing with this wheel is, if you notice, the wheels look rather puny. Okay? The reason why they look sort of puny is that they're 2 inches wide. The reason for a 2-inch wide wheel, most of your manufacturers make them with a 3-inch wide wheel. 3-inch wide wheel just basically gives you more weight that you got to deal with and does absolutely nothing. The part of the wheel that works is right here in the middle of the wheel, about the width of my finger. The higher the crown of the wheel, the smaller the bearing surface is going to be. Okay? That's what you want to look for in a wheel. Now, being narrow on the sides, everything from this point over and this point over does absolutely nothing. So we don't need to use an extra wide wheel. So guys doing motorcycle fenders, real tight radius stuff, what it's going to be is going to give you room to get around. Okay? Now you may sit back and you may wonder about the flats. Okay? So what's the reason for the flats? These two wheels here are by a different manufacturer. Okay? And they're 2 different radiuses. Now I highlighted them in blue over here. Okay? This is what they call a straight cut radius. I'll show you in a second. Straight cut radius is that it has no flats. The wheel is just basically cut like a half a circle. The bearing surface on these things don't change from wheel to wheel to wheel. Here's the other one. Okay, a little bit flatter, but a little bit more bearing surface, but not a heck of a lot. Does it work? Yes, it works. The problem that it has is that you're working 3 times harder to achieve the same results. You want to have the flats. Okay? The next thing you want to make sure is the bearings. I'm going to step up to the camera here and show you the bearings. On this Mittler Brothers wheel, this is a nice, big, sealed bearing, 1/2-inch shaft. This one here is an open bearing. And I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but there's no more little ball bearings, no more roller bearings in there. They fell out. I spend more money replacing roller bearings than what it costs to have this done right the first time. To have it done right the first time. Okay? That's the next thing to look for. The next thing you want to make sure of is that you want to make sure about runout. And you may sit back and say, what is runout? Runout is basically the wheels not being totally round. Some of these import machines that you see, I've seen them as much as 60,000ths of an inch runout. So what happens is as you roll, the roller gets loose, it gets tight, it gets loose, it gets tight, it gets loose, it gets tight. It'll drive you crazy when you want to make a nice, smooth panel. Does not work well. The next thing that happens is that this here is micro polished. This thing is like a mirror. This is like a mirror. I've seen on these imported wheels where you can run your finger and you can literally file your fingers out. It can be a nice nail file. All those imperfections translate themselves to the metal. What you end up paying for those low quality wheels, you end up spending in the long run. The next thing is, this is billet steel. This is billet steel, okay? A lot of guys are using nothing more than a caster wheel. A caster wheel has a tendency to be softer than the metal that you want to stretch. So what happens is, instead of thinning the metal and shaping the metal, all it's doing is rolling the metal. You work 4 times harder to achieve the same results. The last thing is that you want to make sure that the frame is substantial. This frame here is very, very substantial. A lot of the stuff that you see in the market that's inexpensive is using 1/8" steel tubing. This is 1/4" steel tubing. It's all reinforced with gussets. The flex is very, very important. If you get too much flex in the machine, it isn't going to do the work, especially when you're dealing with heavier gauge machines. And that pretty much concludes our little demo on this. We will be having some other demos. My name is Campeau. I'm with Performance Metal Shaping, and we thank you very much.